So we're here with Kenneth Gyang, Nigerian filmmaker, who's presenting his film Confusion Nawa, which has won a number of awards in Nigeria and at film festivals abroad. His career includes television programs in collaboration with the BBC, Waiting Day and Finding Aisha are the programs, and another film before Confusion Nawa called Blood and Henna, I believe, right? Trained at the Nigerian Film Institute in Jos, and works in a kind of interesting collaborative group called Cinema Pata Pata, which includes, I think, cinematographer Yinka Edwards,
yeah,
and also Tom Rollins-Rees.
yes, exactly.
Great. So Confusion Nawa is remarkable to me because I have a very difficult time finding a point of comparison in Nigerian cinema, another film to relate it to. And so it's very unique in that regard. And one of the things that I wanted to always ask you about is the kind of the very upfront attitude of the film. It's very irreverent, almost scandalous. It shines a light on moral hypocrisy and venality and scandals about sex. So what inspired you? Why make a film with this kind of very forward and aggressive attitude?
Well, the truth is, right, in Nigeria, people are always scared about, expressing themselves sometimes when it comes to filmmaking. You're looking at we have a very tight censors board. So you take material to them, they want to tell you, this is what you should actually yank out, this is how you're supposed to tell the story. They're almost like the filmmakers, actually. All the time. So when we're writing the script, Tom and I discussed that, let's just go out there. This is what's happening in our own environment. People have sex, people talk about sex. People betray each other every day. And wives cheat on their husbands, husbands cheat on their wives. So why do we always have to make, films and try to go around it? I remember one of the drafts, when I wrote the draft, Isabella was saying, oh, you are one woman that I always love to sleep with. And I'm like, no, it doesn't sound right, If he actually, if he says it the way it's like being said on the screen, like the way we have it in the film, it's actually going to come out better. So, we use the same expressions that people use, but I don't really know why we always try to tone all of those languages in our film. So we said we're actually going to be forward. And I'm from Jos. And Jos, it's a very multicultural place. You have lots of people from all over because of they came to the place because of tin mining, actually. And then, of course, we had lots of missionaries, too, who came down to the city. So, there are lots of people who use different expressions, but we go out there and, there's all this unity and same self-expression. So we told ourselves that if we're actually going to make a film, we have to be very straightforward and not trying to garnish it. And, of course, much later, this film too came out, Viva River, and people are talking about the same thing. Oh, yeah, this is like too forward. Oh, this sex in Africa and stuff like that. But, yeah, I guess that as an artist, you can't be restricted by what the censors are thinking. It's all about what you think you will use in your film to express yourself. So that's what we use in the film.
Can I just quickly follow on that? Have you passed the film through National Film and Video Censors Board?
Yeah, it's funny, right? For the cinema distribution, because usually it is different when you are censoring for cinema and for DVD. So for cinema, usually they'll come they'll play it for them, and you're supposed to pay, a huge sum of money, actually. And so when we gave it to them, because we wanted to do cinema and DVD, they were like, oh, well, the ending, why do we have that ending? Like, why will Isabella just walk away? Can't you have to go and reshoot the ending, you have to make sure that it changes. And we're like, oh, okay. Can we just like do with the cinema censoring first? So because for cinema they can actually let other things pass, because of course if they say 18 it's 18, if they say it's 16 it's 16. So basically, yes, cinema it is fine, but for DVD we've not really sorted it out at the moment. Yeah, with them.
And one of the things I think we talked about in a previous conversation was the kind of the budget that you were working with, the resources you had on hand, and how you were able to make quite a bit out of very little. The budget was came from a grant, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a grant. Yeah, when we wrote the film, we were looking for people who would put in their money to make the film. And of course, even though back in film school, there's always saying that, oh, it's only a fool that makes a film with his own money. But I mean, we actually wanted to be fools to make the film with our own money, but we didn't have any money to make the film. So we went to Hubert Bals Fund in Netherlands, and so they gave us 20,000 euros. Of course, it was instrumental. So it was like 15,000 euros when we started the production. That's what we actually used to finish the production, but then we had to put in some of our resources, and it became 20,000 euros. So basically, that was what we used, and we used the sort of camera that's available back in Nigeria. I mean, instead of using with fancy red camera or some of those expensive cameras, at that time, we used the 5D and the 7D, because we had to do a bit of reshoot, so we used 7D for that one. And so some of the actors, we got some actors that we were friends with, because working with BBC, one of the things that I actually feel that, I mean, I was lucky to work with BBC was that I met a lot of talented actors who are well known at the moment in Nigeria. So I was able to call them up to come and play some parts in the film. And the one that we couldn't get, like Ramsey Noah, Yinka worked with Ramsey Noah on a film called The Figurine. So all he had to do was he sent him the script, and Ramsey saw the script. Then when he read it, I think he was on his way to the US. He read the script, and then when he got off the plane, he called Yinka and told him that he wants to be in the film. And so Ramsey came to work on the film, actually. I mean, he didn't collect any money from us. Ali Nuhu too. Ali Nuhu is like the biggest star in the north. I mean, Ali Nuhu is so massive that there was a time we were shooting Waiting Day in Abuja. And so people wanted to see Ali Nuhu. But because we had to, we locked the gate. They were climbing the fence to see Ali Nuhu, and the fence caved in with a lot of people. I mean, that's how big Ali Nuhu is. He too worked on the film for free. So, I mean, if we're actually going to pay those guys, we possibly might just carry 20,000 euros, pay them, and then we'll just stand there watching their faces, and that'll be the end of our film. But yeah, they decided to help us. So basically, yeah, I mean, that was how we were able to make the film with so much, with no money at all, actually.
Can I ask, the reason I want to talk about this is because most filmmakers right now complain about the wretched state of the market in Nigeria. To sell a movie and have enough left over to make another is becoming more and more of a challenge. So let me put it to you. Is there a possible solution to this problem in the way that you've shot with a much smaller budget? Or
to be honest with you, right, I mean, Cinema Patakota, we've always told ourselves that we want to be shooting low-budget films, except when we've been able to sort out distribution in Nigeria, because piracy is a huge problem, and we can't really recoup our money from cinemas because we're competing a lot with Hollywood films. So you find out, I think we have like 80 screens in Nigeria, and in those 80 screens, you have maybe 99% showing maybe Hollywood films, either 99% or 98% showing Hollywood films. And so you have Nigerian films showing. But then even with the Nigerian films, we're competing against each other. So for instance, if your film is out this week, next week my film is going to be out, and the next week your film is going to be out. So we're competing against ourselves and competing against Hollywood. And so of course, you know you can't even win with Hollywood because they have like so much money when it comes to marketing. So that is a problem. And so we always feel that it is good to do a low budget film. And then of course, I've been looking at filmmakers like Kunle Afolayan, who of course they use lots of money to make a film, but then what they do at the end of the day is that they bring in people to come and have private screenings, and you know, they might have endorsement deals and things like that
from corporate
organizations. But the truth is that we all don't have the pulling power of Kunle Afolayan to like get all those people. So that is why I will always say that before I will collect another person's money to go and make a film, I have to sort out my distribution. So for me at the moment, I think working within your means is always better. I mean, like last week, I saw this huge Nigerian actor called Nkem, and I went to him and I was like, oh, sir, you know, I called you before that I would love to work with you on a film. And I told him, oh yeah, but you know the money that you were telling me. I was like, I told you, how much was it? Do you know that the money has even increased now? And I was like, but you know we are young people. I mean, we don't have the budget. He said, that's the problem with you young people. You should always make a film according to your own budget. And I was like, yeah. So sometimes you might have actors who will want to help you. Sometimes you meet people like Nkemo who, of course, you'll be like, okay, it's all about his fee. And so how do you balance that? I think you have to balance it with what you get. Like I was saying behind the camera before we started this filming, that I'm not going to spend a lot of money to make as in a film if I don't really work out how much I'm going to make. So if I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do post-production in USA, for instance, I'm going to pay, how much am I going to pay for post-production in the US? Yeah, I mean, so those are the things that you have to look at it. And I always say, you can make a good film. I mean, it's not about making a good film in Nigeria. It is about how fast you shoot, first of all. So if you're going to shoot a film in like 10 days, of course, you know, there's another Nollywood guy that can shoot a film in 10 days. But how is yours going to be different? It's all about how can you break your back in 10 years and shoot something with so much quality that's going to be different from like the other person. And that's like what you have an edge over that person when it comes in terms of competition. So basically, that's what we're trying to do. I mean, as young filmmakers, instead of trying to complain, go out there and see if you can make the same film, that they are making with the same budget that they are making in Nollywood, but just make it better. And oh, sorry, I mean,
so that's okay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to say that when you do that, I mean, with making Confusion Now, we now have a lot of leverage to discuss with people because they know we have some sort of clout. But if we are sat down to complain about not having enough money to make a film, then we're never going to have the sort of clout that we probably have now.
Sure.
So I was just, and then you said you try to make it in the same 10 days, but you try to do it with more quality. So could I ask you how do you prepare yourself?
Oh no, I mean, basically what you have to do is you have to make sure that you plan. I mean, we might talk about planning. You guys are here. Planning might look like, I mean, it's something like really simple to you, but of course you guys were with me, okay, back here in Africa, but I'm talking for the sake of like, I mean, people who might not have been to places where you guys have been to. Yeah, I mean, people don't really plan back home. I mean, you're going to make a film, they don't know culture, they don't know production schedule, they don't know anything. So you just go out there and you're trying to make a film, but how are you going to make a film if you can't really sort all of these things out? So those are some of the things that really help. You know, okay, instead of saying, oh, you start shooting, and so you find out, oh yeah, so we're supposed to shoot this thing, but where are we supposed to shoot? Where are we going to shoot it? And then you go out to go and look for where you're supposed to shoot that. So no, you're supposed to like plan out, know where you're going to shoot, as in everything. And that is a problem that we have. I'm sure, like, I mean, it's all sorted down here, but I mean, people might take it for granted down here. But yeah, I mean, back home in Africa, you just need planning. So that's what we do, plan.
Can I ask, how do you envision yourself, or how do you place yourself in relationship to Kannywood and Nollywood, to the film industry in the north, which has its own particular tradition and crew and style of shooting, and film crews, and the industry in the south with its own tradition and style of shooting and market?
Yeah, to be honest with you, right, I mean, I'm just like caught in between, and it's always very difficult because I go to the south and they're like, oh yeah, I mean, these Hausa people. Because of course, I mean, out of their ignorance, they just feel because I mean, Nigeria is divided by a river called the River Niger, right? Yeah, I mean, so once you're like, I mean, on the other side of the Niger, you are just Hausa. That's what they'll say, oh yeah, you're Hausa. And so, okay, that means Hausa, they classify me under Kannywood. Now, I go to Kannywood, and they were like, oh yeah, this guy, I mean, you Nollywood people, you guys are... So I'm always caught, I mean, in between. But the truth is this, right? It is always cool to use that to your own advantage. I mean, there are a lot of things that I've learned being in the northern part of Nigeria, and their own style of filmmaking. And so, if I'm actually going to apply it to my own, to the sort of work that I'm going to do, I think that there's always an advantage when if I have a film and then I can actually talk to maybe some producers. For instance, my next film, I might still go and talk to maybe producers in the north, up in Kannywood. Okay, if you can actually just like invest a bit, because of course I'm still going to use Alinuhu. Yeah, because I think that, not because, I mean, Alinuhu has to be, Alinuhu has to be in all of my films, but it's because the character that he's going to play is really right for the script. And so, yeah, you might actually get some funding from there. And then, of course, people who say when I go to Nollywood, because they know me because of Confusion Now and some of the activities that we've done, I might still like tap in something from them. And, of course, I'm talking to their distributors too as well. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that's like how I'm trying to balance the whole Kannywood and Nollywood.
Kind of at the margins of both.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, you know, you always have to be politically correct too in like your expressions, like what you do. It depends on like who you're going to. For instance, like when I'm making a film in the north, like I know, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to like make Carmen like maybe hold my hand or anything, you know, like yeah. I mean, so when you're making this, so you have to balance it, of course. And now that cinema is going to this big cinema. I mean, this big, huge cinema in Kano at the moment. So that means like people in Kano too, you have to like factor them in when you're talking about making a film and getting an audience to go and watch it. And so in right. relation to that, it's almost like how, you know, like America tried to like balance its relationship with China, you know, for box office reasons. So yeah, you always have to think of that, yeah.
How much you were thinking when you were making the film, I would place this as like a dark comedy or something similar, but how much were you thinking about like genre when you were writing up Confusion Now, creating the script or even the concept? Was it a factor?
Yeah. In like thinking of the genre, right? To be honest with you, I think like first of all, I was in writing it. We're thinking more of structure, not even of the genre. You understand? Yeah.
It's got a very unique structure.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so it was a structure that we're thinking about, and so yeah. I mean, after all of that, because you know, and when we're writing, so we're saying, oh yeah, I mean, it's about the injustice of life. Oh yeah, the structure. Oh yeah, Amores Perros, City of God, Babel. You know, like you're thinking of all of these things. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day. You have some critics saying, oh yeah, I mean, it's a dark crime film. Other people are saying, oh yeah, I mean, it's a dark comedy. I mean, all of that, I would definitely say that, yeah, it's drama, first of all. Sure. And then, of course, I mean, it has more to do with, I mean, crime, you understand? And then, of course, like, the writing, because Tom is an excellent writer when it comes to writing, I mean, gags. Yes, so I mean, we actually fuse all of that, and we have what we have at the end of the day. But I'm just going to be honest. Yeah, we're not thinking about genre in the beginning. Like we're thinking more of the structure. Yeah.
I'm hearing you kind of make references. You said City of God, Babel. So where, like, what influences would you say you're drawing from? What other films are you kind of putting yourself in dialogue with?
Yeah, basically, I mean, I remember it was, first of all, saw City of God, and I really liked City of God, and it's the structure, and so, yeah, I took notice of the director, Fernando Mireles, and then much later, I think I was in South Africa in 2006, I think, and Tom was like, oh, have you seen this film? What's the name of that film? I can't, yeah, I'm trying to remember. Oh, Children of Men. Sure. Yeah, Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men. And so, yeah, I went to watch Children of Men. And basically, it's not about whether the structure is the same, but it's all about the style of filmmaking. And so, yeah, later on, you know, I watched like films like maybe You Too Mama Tambien and Amores Perros. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that is like where
were you getting keyed into these different films? Where were you hearing about them from and getting copies of them?
Yeah, I mean, so you have to, with You Too Mama Tambien, I made Tom to buy it for me in the UK, to send it over. Yeah, City of God, I think I got it in Nigeria. And some of these other films too, I watched them in Burkina Faso. I think, yeah, Imagine, because there's this like film school built by Gaston Kabori in Ouagadougou called Imagine. I saw some of them there. But, I mean, much later, all of those films, like, Children of Men, I saw it in the theater. All of this, actually, I had to make Tom to maybe buy copies for me and send them over. And of course, I remember there was a time he bought me a box set of Tarantino, and it got missing in the mail. Yeah, I wasn't very happy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have several questions, but so you mentioned you were at a school of Gaston Courbet in Burkina Faso. Could you talk a little bit about your training?
Yeah. Okay. So with Imagine, we were selected from school to go because they were looking for students, and I'm not really saying that I was a brilliant student or anything, but yeah, I was selected to go
from
to
NFI?
Yeah, from NFI, the National Film Institute.
Right.
So went to Burkina Faso, and so we had like all these film scholars from around the world coming to teach us screenwriting and directing. But I was particularly interested in screenwriting because usually you have film lectures, but it's all about theory. So you don't really have all these learning aids and stuff like that. So I remember watching films like as an in-depth like Thelma and Louise, Shawshank Redemption, and we're talking about the characterization, we're talking about structure and plot and stuff like that. So yeah, it is actually one of those places that I had key film education. And of course, you know how it is with Francophone cinema. You read about all their films, Ousmane Sembene, Idrissa Ouedraogo, Abderrahmane Sissoko. You never get to see their films because it's always in some archive in France or possibly America or basically France actually. So at Imagine, I was actually able to watch all of those films. Like I sat down, I was like, okay, if you say, oh yeah, this one was in Fespaco or this one was in Cannes, I want to see, what actually makes it tick. And so when we are even modeling a company name called Cinema Pata Pata, like Pata Pata, of course, is a pidgin English word. But we are, so, we have to sound deep, like the guys from Francophone Africa, Because, if you're talking about African cinema, you're talking about, the guys from Francophone Africa. You're not talking about Anglophone. You're not talking about Nollywood, So, and, like, their titles, film production company names, like, it's unique, it's African. We're like, oh, yeah, we have to get something African. So, Cinema Pata Pata, yeah, that's like, finale of cinema, So, basically, it was from there that I was watching all of those films and trying to understand the sort of subjects that they talk about in their films. They talk about really serious subjects. And so, Commission Now, we try to make a very serious film, but we are like, okay, we don't want to tell it like the way they tell their own stories, because in Nigeria we have a different model of storytelling. We are fast. They are very slow, like, it's like European. Like you can have a shot and it's going to stay there for a very long time, and then people play out and play out and play out. And then, yeah, like it moves on. But people love those films, but our audience might not really connect with it. So how do you take the monolith model and then make a thought-provoking film? So that's what that's what I picked from there, and then with my Nollywood background, and so I just fused it. So yeah, Imagine was actually a very good training ground.
Could I follow up on that? Filmmakers like Kunle Afolayan have tried to distance themselves from Nollywood, but what you're just saying now, you said, okay, Nigerians have a different style. So how would you connect yourself to the Nigerian tradition, and have you had influences in Nigeria?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't have influences in Nigeria because I'm always appreciative of the fact that those guys were there and they gave us an industry. Like, without them, we would not have an industry. So now that people are saying, oh yeah, you guys are new wave, I don't even know if I'm new wave or not, but people are saying that, right? So I still connect myself with Nollywood. When I go out there, I tell people, oh yeah, I'm a Nollywood filmmaker. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, well, in Nigeria it's a different type of industry, we're different. No, you don't have to go into that and start giving the explanation. Because whatever you try to tell people, they're just going to tell you, oh yeah, you're Nollywood. So maybe when they see their work, they'll be the one, they'll start saying, okay, but this is different from the Nollywood film. They might say that, or they will just say, oh yeah, it's another Nollywood film. But I think that as an artist, you don't have to keep on fighting, trying to say, okay, this is who I am. When people can actually just classify you, okay, this is where you're supposed to be, or this is where you are. So I'm Nollywood, and I don't distance myself from Nollywood, but yeah, possibly making films that it's in the same style with the regular films that you've been watching from Nigeria.
You're bringing up new waves and new generations. It's getting me thinking about the age dynamics here. Your film feels pretty young. It appeals to, I think, a kind of a younger sensibility. And you, Kenneth, I imagine, are a little bit younger than the typical marketer or producer. So did you grow up watching home videos? Did you grow up with the video home video boom? And
yeah,
do you imagine yourself as a different generation than that group of producers at all? Or?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Jos, we actually grew up watching a lot of Indian films, basically. So, I mean, it's Indian films and films from Hong Kong. Actually, we call them Chinese films. So,
that's even after the advent of Nollywood.
Yeah, that's even after. Yeah, exactly. Even after the advent of Nollywood, people were still watching a lot of those Indian films and a lot of Chinese films. I think because some of those films, right? If you look at it, like if you look at the old Indian films, it's like melodrama. It's like what we make in Nollywood. Do you understand? But like, we were not watching a lot of Nollywood. I know there were films like maybe that I've seen. I can actually count the films that I've seen when I was growing up. I mean, Nollywood films. Like probably Living in Bondage, Sakubi, Suicide Mission, you know. I mean, those were a few films, Most Wanted, that I've watched. But I mean, I can't even give you the list of Indian films or Chinese films that I've watched. So basically, that is that. And I think it's probably because of that we have two different industries in the north and in the south. I mean, in the north, of course, they are much more influenced by Indian films. You know, because I don't know, I mean, because they are like possibly identifying with the culture of India. But in the south, it was basically stage, a lot of stage, Yoruba stage. So that's like why I think their films are like that, the way they are, and the north, I mean, it's like that. But me, I grew up watching a lot of Chinese and Indian films.
How did you start? So you were with BBC, you went to NFI. Maybe just give us a little bit more background on.
Oh no, as in between. Yeah, I mean in between, you know, watching Chinese films and Indian films, and of course as kids we usually play with. There's like a shadow cinema that we make. Like it's like when you cut out a cardboard, you put in a white cloth in front, you put a lantern behind, you put your characters there, and then people are sitting in front and they're watching the film. And so you're making all these sound effects with them, oh, gish, gish, you know? And yeah, a story, you can actually make a story too. So basically, I mean, from Indian films, yeah, we're making all those shadow cinemas. And after that, I said, oh, I want to be into radio. And of course, I thought I had a great voice for radio. I didn't know my voice sounds like a woman. Like, because when I talk to people on the phone, they're like, oh, yeah, madam. I'm like, no, I'm not madam, I'm Kenneth. So, yeah, after that, yeah, I mean, that's like how I got into NFI. I saw Post National Film Institute and I went there. And then that's like where it got me to where I am today.